Hello and welcome once again to Crazy Comics and Stories. 4 episodes till 200. It's me, your charming and delightful old Uncle Rat Bastard. And at the other end of the series of tubes and wires we call the internets is Joe, Crazy Writer. How you doing today, Joe?
Cory, I've got something very serious to ask. Excuse me. Cory Strode.
Oh, this isn't going to be good.
Would you marry me?
No.
So much for gay marriage. Ah, well, I tried. Anyways.
Now, here's the thing. Gay marriage is okay now, right?
Well, it depends. There's some people, committing treasonous acts by either refusing to do it or, like Alabama and I think Utah, outlawing marriage as an institution.
Well, they're just talking about it.
No,
now, here's the thing.
Let them do it. I don't care.
Here's the thing. I just want to make sure. Is it still illegal for Trekkies to marry furries?
Please, one at a time. The gays just got their, the L whatever community. They just got their rights. We got to work one step at a time.
If the Trekkies start marrying the furries, it'll be a black hole of nerdness that no one can escape from. And think of the children. They'll be writing fan fiction of Captain Kirk as like an ocelot or something.
That could work.
Oh dear God. I have to quit giving you ideas.
As far as how I'm doing, I gotta know, is it creepy to spend a few hours stalking an ex-girlfriend via various Facebook connections?
Yes.
Okay, good. I just want to go with that feeling because, I just kind of, there was, this is one of those women that Sam Kinison talked about. She just ripped your heart out. I don't care if it happened yesterday or third grade. Someone broke your heart. What was her name? And I kind of like, well, I knew she was best friends with this person who happens to be best friends with my sister who's friends with me. So I just kind of went through the friends list and eventually triangulated and figured out who it was. And I know she's married. I know where she lives. I know where she works. I know that we went to the same high school together, and I know where she went to college.
You know when she goes out to the mailbox because you've been sitting in a car watching her house.
No, actually, I don't know what she looks like because she hasn't put a picture up. So.
Well, you know what that means.
What?
It's not that she comes out of the house, that she's big as a house.
Maybe I overlooked her. Oh, so maybe it's just the same.
I could not possibly care less about what anybody I went to high school with is doing.
It was just that one person, because it was kind of like she dropped off the face of the earth after utterly using my heart and testicles as jam for her bitch sandwich. And then,
oh God,
then it was like, it's just one of those things. There's certain people in my life that have dropped out, and, some I care about, some I don't, and some you just wonder about. The first girl I ever dated, I guess you could call it quasi friends. I see her on Facebook or whatever. I just remember once walking in a Target with Dana, and her and her family walked by, and I don't know what was going on. They were like staring at the floor or something, and they walked by, and I said, Dana, see her? That was like my first girlfriend. Or as I like to call it, the bullet I dodged.
When you were Neo, dodging the bullet.
Neo. Dana got a kick out of that. So, okay, it's creepy. I'll go with the feeling. I'm not going to stop. I just gotta, if I feel creepy, I'll go with it.
Okay. I have a bone to pick with you, Mr. Writer.
Uh-oh.
You made my life a gut-wrenching nightmare after last week's show.
Oh, good. Well, I did bow out early. I know you and Jen talked till like 2 a.m, but I kind of bowed out quick.
No, we did not talk until 2 a.m.
I don't want to know what else you did. Nah,
until 2 a.m.
Nope.
Because of you. Before we started recording the show, Joe thought it would be funny because I asked, are you wearing pants? He turned on his camera to show that no, he is not. He was wearing jorts.
I turned it on because Jen said she couldn't see me.
And we have not done a video podcast because, let's face it, sweet God, no one wants to see me.
I don't know. How about that? I think it could be kind of cool. Like when we're talking about comics, I could hold them up to the camera. Look what I got on eBay.
I'll just wear a giant-sized man thing on my face. Hey, there's the crickets.
Yeah, it's good to see they're around. I could just see, you'd be talking like...
And whatever knows fear burns at the man thing's touch. So Joe turns on his camera for the joke and then turns it off.
Ta-da!
And the software that we record the podcast with said, oh, it's a video. I need to start recording in video.
We need to record some video.
Now, I get done, and I go to, because I always check afterward, because we have had episodes that the listeners will never hear.
Yes.
And I go to open it, and it says, oh, sorry, this file is corrupted. And all I could think is, well, Jen wasn't drinking. Exactly. Was Joe selling crack to the neighbor kids or something?
I can't do that. I'm Homeland Security. $200 fires, but not crack.
I go to Pamela's website, and it says, oh, here, if video begins, here's how to record a video. And it's like, oh, crap, it's recorded as video. And I look at how it's saved, and it's saved as video. And I think, oh, now I have to learn how to extract an MP3 from the video. But remember what I said about the recording software said, no, the file is corrupted because Joe only did video at the very, very beginning.
Yes.
So there's a little bit of video and a whole bunch of nothing other in the video slot it dropped into. So it was reading that as everything was messed up.
A little of me goes a long way.
So I download one piece of software that a website, one of the tech websites says, oh, this will take care of it. And I put extract, and it extracts the audio from when Joe had his video camera on, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. Kind of like this. Here,
I'm thinking, oh my God, we've lost the entire episode. And the last week's episode was okay. I thought it was okay. Joe, did you think it was okay?
The parts with me and Jen were good. We could have done with less Strode.
Well, that's how it always is.
Yeah, that's true.
I wouldn't be surprised if you guys fire me with episode 201.
Well, that implies we would have to pay you. Plus, the problem is no one else is willing to stay up till 2 a.m. looking for software to extract MP3 out of a video file.
So I download the second software that is recommended to me by this highly influential and legitimate website, and the software is full of crap. Oh, do you want to use this as your search engine? Do you want to have this as a search bar on your browser?
Yes.
Do you want to have this software? Do you want to have this? I'm surprised it didn't try to download that. You remember the late 90s, the monkey who'd be your assistant, and it was full of malware? I'm surprised it didn't try to, and I unload it, and I do it, and it takes up a ton of space, and it's really slow, and it doesn't work.
You like monkeys.
And I download the third software. It also has a bunch of add-in crap. But it worked.
Ah.
But it was slow. And the raw audio of the call from last week was over 3 hours long.
Mm-hmm.
So an hour and 10 minutes. It is now 1:30 in the morning. It has extracted everything. I save it. I test it. It's all there. And I spend the next 20 minutes having the software that my cable provider gives me for getting rid of viruses and malware and adware and I don't know, spiders and infestations of weasels. It runs for 20 minutes till it says everything's clean.
You know what I've done sometimes is I just pick a restore point and go all the way back to it.
Here's the
Especially
problem.
If it's software.
Pick the restore point, we lose all the audio.
No, it keeps your files.
No, not mine. Because mine says, hey, the file might be the problem. So I swear I swear on the life of my cat if that third piece of software had not worked, I would drive to your house, wake you up, smack you upside the head, and drive home.
Well, there's only one problem with that.
Do not ever turn on your camera again!
I would probably have been awake because I've been having just crap loads of insomnia.
Then it wouldn't have been too long till you came to the door.
Well, maybe. I might have peeked out the window and said, "Hey, between 2 and 3 in the morning is Joey's time."
I would have smacked you upside the face with a flounder.
I like flounders.
And you need one upside the head every so often.
Tasty. I like snapper. Very tasty.
So that's how I spent my week last week.
Good. I feel vindicated.
And what did you do last week?
Well, I worked home. I did discover at the Half Price Books. Remember those, we were talking about those books that Roy Thomas was doing, taking public domain stuff and putting them in hardcovers?
Yes.
Half Price Books has a bunch of paperback versions of those for like $6 to $7.
I know.
Yeah, I was looking at them.
Scarfed those up, baby.
Yeah, they were pretty good. And of course, the other thing too is Half Price just finished doing like a half price sale. So I was there just kind of browsing through. But yeah, we'll talk about that when we get to geeking.
Okay. And I hear remember last week you told me you were going to be doing the risky business thing, dancing around in your underwear. So I haven't even gone to St. Paul. Has your wife left the continental United States to get away from you?
Oh, they left last Wednesday. Dancing's over. Matter of fact, I actually had to do laundry.
And you know how to do that?
Of course. I lived alone for, 7 months in D.C., 5 months in Barrow, 3 months in Dillingham. You can go back and check out those Alaska episodes if you want. They got a beat?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep.
So did you do anything else with the wife gone? Did you eat nothing but SpaghettiOs and chocolate sauce?
Mostly peanut butter sandwiches. Gruber, met up with him, went out to Godfather's Pizza.
They still have those?
Actually, I think we found Green Mill. But that's coming up in Geeking. I'll tell you all about our con day adventure.
They have Godfather's Pizza at one of the gas stations I drive by.
Yes.
Because I'm thinking there's nothing better than gas station pizza, man.
Oh yeah,
that's living.
It's great because it looks better than it is.
That's not hard. Remember, I lost teeth on a gas station pizza.
I saw somebody lose teeth on a Dairy Queen Buster bar once. He'd been served it, and he took it. He took a bite out of it, and he was like, "I can't bite this." He started banging it on the counter, and the lady turned around like, "What?" And she sees him banging the dilly bar, and he trying to take a bite out of it.
Used it to beat small children with.
I think that might have been the same time we were out to get 20 Dairy Queen cones for whatever people. And I was stuck in the back seat, and I was fairly bitter about it. And I said, "Hold these cones." I said, "I'm going to bite the tops off all of them because, Dairy Queen has the squirrels on them." And I was there. "Yeah, sure, Joe, sure. I'm going to do it." Yeah, whatever. I did it.
Yep. You always tried to do it. The Hot Comic St. Paul had a Dairy Queen across the street.
Oh, yeah.
And you always tried to bite the head off of my cone, which I thought was both presumptuous and creepy.
Yeah. That guy must have liked this because I remember we always tried to get there the last day he was open because he always would close and go somewhere for the wintertime. He used to sell Christmas trees, but then the regulations for that got tighter because people would be going out in the woods and chopping down trees just to sell them to these tree lots. So he just said it's way too much paperwork. So he just would now go wherever for the winter. And then we would wait for him to open up in the spring. And I think it was one day, I'm pretty sure it was you and I, might have been Mike, I don't remember. But we were just sitting there and I looked up and goes, "Hey, the Dairy Queen's open." Now, outside, it was probably 25. It was one of those overcast, slushy days where whatever was pouring down from the heavens turned instantly into slop. So we locked the store up, went across the street, and ordered Dairy Queen. And we sat there in front of the Dairy Queen eating it, kind of showing everybody that, hey, Dairy Queen's open. And not only did nobody show up at the shop, but B, a couple of people stopped and had Dairy Queen with us.
And if I remember right, I think it was me. Didn't we get some pretty odd looks from the tiny teenage girls inside who were like, "It's cold out there."
Yes. And then we found out that he had opened 2 days earlier, but that Tuesday it would have been, so that means he opened Sunday. And we weren't there for the beginning. I was so depressed.
That was one of the things I really liked summer at the shop, because you had the Dairy Queen across the street. You had more people walking up and down the street. They'd come into the store. Comic sales would go up a little bit, but not, like they used to do in the summer. But the soda and the candy and the weird crap, that stuff would fly.
Oh, yeah. Someday I'll dig up my sales figures. I know I got them downstairs, and I'll just look at that and see how the sales bumped up and down. Because I also broke everything down so I could tell which ones were new. Most of the sales were new comics, but it'd give you kind of an idea when the comic and the candy jumped and when they went down. And the only time back issues went up was when we always had a sale. We're always doing something silly with the comics. 70% off everything except the 20 books on the wall.
Yeah. See, I wanted the sales to get weirder, but you thought some of my ideas were just too complex.
Well, the 24-hour sale was crazy.
Yeah.
Then we did.
It was like, okay, everything by Sal Buscema is 70% off. Everything by John Buscema is 20% off.
Yeah, but that would have mean we had to go through and, how many? I figured we had about 300 long boxes. That'd have been a lot of digging through just to find those books.
Oh, you can tell by the cover.
It's a little easier now because you could have used like Atomic Avenue or just Google, Sal Buscema's checklist.
They put the creators on the cover now.
Yeah, but back then it would have been a little
Rob
tougher.
Liefeld books. We pay you to take them. I want a complete run of Youngblood. Here's $5, kid. Go away.
Go away, boy. You bother me.
Now, you have not been following the comic book news, have you?
No.
Marvel releases a big preview for October tomorrow, which is why the preview was not in our box day.
What preview?
Yeah.
No,
but here's the
I
thing
got,
that I find
got
weird.
Mine.
Oh, you got previews?
Yeah, I got previews with the little Marvel thing in it.
I didn't. Those bastards.
That's probably because you got yours sent before mine, because yours arrived 2 days before mine.
No, mine arrived today.
Oh, did it? Well, that's stupid. Yeah, because, the previews came out, as we're recording this on Tuesday, it came out the previous Wednesday. And then they actually shipped mine the day after that.
I may have to write an angry letter.
Or I could borrow you.
Ship for brain.
I could borrow you mine. That was one of the few things I did is I grabbed my previews catalog and went through it and picked out what I was going to buy for the following, preview cycle, for lack of a better term.
Okay. Yeah, just bring it along tomorrow, and we'll talk about that adventure later. But Marvel announced all the number ones that are coming out in October. Now, here's the thing I find weird, Joe. They printed up a special thing, and obviously it's not in the Marvel previews, or you'd know about it. So it must be a standalone. But they're doing it the week before San Diego. Normally, in the past, Marvel and DC would have huge announcements for San Diego. But San Diego, you got Paramount's not going to be there. A couple other companies aren't going to be there. And now Marvel's making their biggest announcement of the year the week before. If I were a San Diego person, I'd be going, what did we do? Why do you hate us so much? But I thought what I'd do, I'd go through them, kind of like we did for the New 52, and just kind of first impressions.
Sure.
So are you ready?
Hang on. Ready.
All right. I'm just going to go down. They're in really no order that I can determine.
Because I've already talked.
It gives the creative team and then like a blurb.
Yeah, because it was like, I think we talked about Doctor Strange and Iron Man in previous podcasts, and those were ones that I was like, all right.
All right. Carnage #1, written by Gary Conway and drawn by Mike Perkins. Gary Conway?
Oh, he was doing the
art?
Amazing Spider-Man, 16.1s or whatever.
I don't know, I was kind of a little surprised by Gary Conway's name being on there. I'm not saying it's going to be horrible. It's just I don't think of Gary Conway as writing a character like Carnage.
Maybe it's a new and kinder Carnage.
I don't know. He did write Law and Order for, close to a decade? A show I've never watched. I'm the only person in America who's never watched Law and Order. The next one, Venom Space Knight, written by Robbie Thompson and drawn by Ariel Olivetti.
If we actually had a camera going, you would see my mouth just kind of distort in very skeptical look.
Yeah, Venom as a Space Knight. Well, we can't bring back Rom, so why not?
Okay, 0 for 2. Actually, hang on a second. I got to get a piece of paper here. Okay. Hits, misses. Strike 1, strike 2. All right, go ahead.
The Ultimates by Al Ewing and Kenneth Rockefort, who I don't know. Roster looks to include Black Panther, Spectrum, Blue Marvel, Miss America, Captain Marvel, and Galactus is on the cover.
Strike 3.
Web Warriors by Mike DaCosta and Dave Ballion, Defending the Spider-Verse is the tagline. The series looks to include Spider-Man India, Spider-Ham, Spider-Gwen, Spider-Man Noir, Anya Corazon, who was, Aranya, and Spider-Girl. She was Aranya. Me, I am Aranya Discoteca. That's the Disco Spider. And Spider UK.
Sorry, but again, if we were on camera, you'd have seen my eyes roll.
Spider-Man 2099 by Peter David and Will Sliney.
Okay, I'm going to have to make a new category because that one comes under the category of possible. Because I've always liked Peter David's work.
Will Sliney probably had the worst junior high experience of any of the artists we've named already. Spider-Woman #1 by Dennis Hopeless and Javier Rodriguez. Parent by Day, Hero by Night. It looks like a bit has changed for Jessica Drew during the 8-month gap between Secret Wars and this new #1 because she is quite pregnant on the cover.
Is that the same team that was in the first run?
No.
Because I actually kind of was getting into that. I talked about how I didn't want to cover it, but I picked up a few of those issues and thought they were fun.
Yeah, and the costume change made sense in the story.
Yeah, that's okay. It's one of about 1 billion different changes for Spider-Woman. Party on, Marvel.
Daredevil #1 by Charles Soule and Ron Garney. Ron Garney's art's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Charles Soule, a writer I don't know a whole lot about. Howling Commandos of S.H.I.E.L.D. #1. Frank Barbier and one of my favorite indie artists, Brent Schoonover, who's a local boy. To fight the monsters of the world, we need the monsters of the night. The commandos look to be Hip Monkey, Man-Thing, Werewolf by Night, an Undead Jasper Sitwell, Amphibian, and Dum Dum Duggan.
Possible.
I have to buy anything with Hip Monkey in it. Amazing Spider-Man #1 by Dan Slott and Giuseppe Cara. We need data to pronounce this guy's name.
I thought I was the only one that fumbled names.
Oh, no. If I have not heard the name, I will fumble it.
Okay, if Slott's on board, I will stick with it because he's been very entertaining the last couple of years.
Spider-Man #1, written by Brian Michael Bendis and drawn by Sarah Pichelli. Welcome to the Marvel Universe, Miles Morales. Hope you survived the experience. Ant-Man #1 by Nick Spencer and Ramon Rosanas. Looks to be a continuation of the current Ant-Man series. including his supporting cast, Grizzly, Whirlwind, Porcupine, and the Beetle. Are you reading Ant-Man?
No.
Oh, it seems a lot like the Deadly Foes of Spider-Man. It really does. It's a lot of fun. Well, I'm sorry, the Sinister Foes of Spider-Man.
Superior.
Superior? Oh,
One of them has synonyms.
Silk #1 by Robbie Thompson and Stacey Lee. Silk is a character I like, but I don't think they've really explained why her and Spider-Man aren't like all over each other all the time. Uncanny Avengers #1, Gary Duggan and Ryan Stegman. Lineup looks to include Spider-Man, Quicksilver, a new female character, Brother Voodoo, Steve Rogers, Rogue, Human Torch, and Deadpool. Uncanny X-Men #1 by Colin Bunn and Greg Land. Magneto, Psylocke, Mystique, Phantom X, and Sabretooth.
Greg Land's pretty good.
Yeah, if you like tracing.
Yes.
All New Wolverine #1 by Tom Taylor and David Lopez.
Ah, spoilers! He's back.
The best there is at what she does.
Ah.
So, not really a spoiler now, is it?
No.
All New X-Men by Dennis Hopland and Hot Artist Mark Bagley.
Bagley. Good Bagley.
On a mission to make their own future, hitting the road are Teenage Beast, Cyclops, Angel, and Iceman, along with X-23 in her new Wolverine suit. Extraordinary X-Men #1 by Jeff Lemire and Humberto Ramos, featuring adult Iceman, Storm, Colossus, Magic, Old Man Logan, Teen Jane Grey, and Nightcrawler.
I will say one thing that's kind of interesting so far is I like the idea that Marvel, with Secret Wars, and again DC with Convergence, they're at least allowing their creators to, hey, we made these great characters, but we can never use them because they were tied to a certain continuity or timeline. Well, now that it's like they've just thrown all the cards in the air and they're saying, okay, guys, grab who you want and let's have some books. Whether they're good or not, or it lasts, we'll see. But
the other thing I really like is we're getting creative teams shuffling around, kind of like when they did Marvel Now. And I'm wondering if maybe this is how they're going to do the monster events. They'll tell people, okay, you're doing a season, 24, 36 issues, however many. And then, all right, we'll have something that kind of is where everything converges. We do a big event, and then, all right, new creators, new books.
Interesting idea.
Old Man Logan by Jeff Lemire and Andrea Sorrento. Older, wiser, sharper. So Jeff Lemire doing Extraordinary X-Men and Old Man Logan, so I imagine those two will be very closely connected. Nova #1 by Sean Ryan and Corey Smith. And all it says on the ad is the family business, but if you take a look at it, it's a young Nova and an older Nova. Karnak #1, no, not Karnak from Johnny Carson. No, it's Karnak from the Inhumans.
Now I gotta erase it out of my yes pile. Okay.
Yeah, are you ready for it to go back in your yes pile?
Okay.
Written by Warren Ellis.
Okay, back in the.
Drawn by Geraldo Zaffino.
Is he going to stick with it more than 6 issues?
Probably not.
Okay, so I have 6 issues.
Hawkeye #1 by Jeff Lemire and Ramon Perez, the people who are doing the current all-new Hawkeye series. Sam Wilson, Captain America by Nick Spencer and Daniel Arcuna. New Avengers #1 by Al Ewing and Geraldo Sandoval. Lineup looks to include Songbird, Hawkeye, Wiccan, Hulkling, Squirrel Girl, and Sunspot.
Hang on, I'm running out of space in my maybe pile.
I have to buy it just for that lineup. Come on. It's almost like, all right, who's left over? You get a book. Illuminati #1 by Josh Williamson and Sean Crystal. The tagline is Forever Evil, and along with the hood, the cover looks to include silhouettes of Absorbing Man, and the Black Ant, a character I'm not very familiar with. But, they had the Illuminati, which were, the big dogs in the Marvel Universe. Now it looks like they're going to be shifting over to a book about a villain group. Scarlet Witch #1 by James Robinson and Kevin Wada.
I'm not familiar
Star-Lord
with that.
#1.
I was going to say I'm not familiar with that artist, but if they can draw her well, I like James Robinson.
Yeah, same here. Star-Lord #1 by Sam Humphries and Dave Johnson. I love Dave Johnson's work, and I have no idea where he's been the last 20 years.
Now, do they have pictures of what's coming up, or is it just a list?
They have a picture of the cover.
Okay. So this is this the current?
It's a handout that's going to be at the shops the Wednesday before this episode drops.
Oh, okay.
We're recording on Tuesday. It's coming out tomorrow, but this is going to be aired on Monday. So if you travel back in time to Wednesday, you could go get it. Or, they probably have some left over.
Because I'm curious, is it the current Star-Lord or the one that showed up in the last Guardians 3000?
We have Star-Lord with the weird, goofy mask that he has.
Okay. So
we don't know who it is.
That's a possibility. Guardians
of the Galaxy #1 by Brian Michael Bendis and Valerio Schiti, who probably had a horrible time in junior high.
Probably just a shitty time. Yeah, that's definitely on the hit parade. I'll definitely want to watch it.
Ready for the tagline?
Okay.
The Raccoon's in charge.
Oh, bloody hell.
Spider-Gwen #1 by Jason Latour and Robbie Rodriguez. The Secret History of Gwen Stacy and Peter Parker.
The current one?
Now, here's the thing, Joe. If they're ramming all these universes together, and Spider-Gwen's got a series, and from what I hear, Kevin Feige is madly in love with the character of Spider-Gwen. Kevin Feige, the guy in charge of Marvel movies. Does this mean that Gwen Stacy is alive in the current Marvel universe and maybe she didn't die?
That puts it in the possibility pile.
Yeah. Ms. Marvel #1 by G. Willow Wilson. And, wow, this is an interesting mix. Takeshi Miyazawa and Adrian Alfona. So you've got a Japanese manga-style artist with a European inker. I want this just for the art.
I might get this one just to see what Holly thinks of it.
Drax #1 by CM Punk and Ed. The tagline is Best in the Galaxy.
I gotta get that. Just you had me at Punk.
Angela, Asgard's Assassin, Marguerite Bennett, and artist Kim Giacchino and Stephanie Harris. Tagline is Hell Hath a New Fury.
Yeah, I wasn't that impressed with the first series. I mean, I was all hyped up when she showed up at Age of Ultron, and it was fun when she was hanging out in Guardians of the Galaxy, but her own series kind of left me like, meh.
Howard the Duck #1. Yes, again. Same creative team as currently, Chip Zdarsky and Joe Quinones. And the tagline is, Howard gets a new hat.
I may start picking that up, because so far there's a lot of misses for me that I'll probably pass. And I have picked up the Howard the Ducks just because I picked up variant covers here and there to give it a try. And I actually found myself, I was actually enjoying it.
I enjoyed it too, which surprised me because you know how adamant I am on Howard the Duck is Steve Gerber's character. But they found a new angle, and the character's not the same.
Yeah. And the question becomes, do I want to wait to graphic novels or wait till it inevitably gets on Marvel Unlimited? So there are decisions to be made in the next few months.
Yes. Deadpool #1 by Gary Duggan and Mike Hawthorne. The tagline is more Deadpool than you wanted. If you like the current Deadpool comic, you'll like this one. Because it's the same writer.
Oh, yeah.
Squadron Supreme #1 by James Robinson and Leonard Kirk. Covers by Alex Ross.
Possibly.
I love Leonard Kirk. Love Leonard Kirk. I love James Robinson. And you know the Alex Ross covers are going to be amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Mighty Thor #1 by Jason Aaron and Russell Dauterman. It's Jason Aaron. I'm buying it. Come on.
Yeah, is that the same one who's been doing it the last couple of years?
Yes.
Yeah, he's another guy like Slott where he's going somewhere with this. Now, can you tell, is it the female Thor or is it Odin's son? Okay.
The flesh may be weak, but the thunder is strong. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. #1 by Mark Guggenheim and Mike Norton. Mark Guggenheim is a writer who I've enjoyed, but he never seems to get a big assignment. I think he's still kind of on his way up. But Mike Norton, come on, Battle Pugs, Mike Norton.
Is this tied into the TV show or is it in the Marvel Universe?
It's in the Marvel Universe, kind of like the current S.H.I.E.L.D. comic is.
Okay, that's a possibility.
Vision by Tom King and Gabriel Walta, a bold new vision for the Marvel Universe.
Oh, by the way, folks, if you're keeping tabs, if I don't say anything, that means because I put it right away in the no pile.
Uncanny Inhumans #1 by Charles Soule and Steve McNiven. The tagline is, "The silence is broken." They are really trying to make the Inhumans into a thing. And I think with Steve McNiven, it's like, I'll give it a try. Steve McNiven's art can really help a story. Charles Soule's stories are they're okay. They're not horrible. But I never read a Charles Soule comic and go, oh, wow! Contest of Champions by Al Ewing and Paco Medina. When Heroes Gather. The cover has the Future Imperfect Hulk on it. I want to hear more about this.
Yeah.
And boy, Al Ewing is writing 4 books at this point.
What, Bendis doesn't want to write as much?
Yeah. What's up, Bendis?
Guy?
You lazy bastard. Captain Marvel #1 by Tara Butters and Michelle Frazekis. Art by Chris Anka. I know that the current Captain Marvel series has a lot of fans, but that opening arc with the time travel and bouncing around in time and not explaining why the people back in World War II knew who she was and all that just kind of made it so that book was really hard to read for me. So I know with the movie coming up, they got to raise her profile. So, All New, All Different Avengers by Mark Waid and Adam Kubert, covers by Alex Ross. As previously revealed, the new Avengers lineup is Thor, Vision, Ms. Marvel, Miles Morales, Spider-Man, Nova, Iron Man, and Captain America.
Yeah, definitely on that.
Doctor Strange #1 by Jason Aaron and Chris Bacalo.
All right, just move along. We know we're on it. We're on it. Yeah, stop drooling on the mic.
Tagline is, some surgery requires a scalpel, some an axe. And Joe, have you seen the cover?
Negative. I will tomorrow.
This is one of those comics where, take my money now! The next one is another comic that is Take My Money Now. Totally Awesome Hulk, written by Greg Pak, who did Planet Hulk, and art by Frank Cho.
Will he be on it for 6 issues?
Probably.
Okay, so that's in the 6-issue pile.
But it's Frank Cho.
I know.
And Greg Pak gave us Planet Hulk.
Yes.
Which I liked so much I bought the oversized hardcover that looks really, really nice on a shelf. A-Force is actually continuing. So it's a whole bunch of female characters. Same creative team, too. G. Willow Wilson and Victor Ibanez. And last but not least, Invincible Iron Man #1 by Brian Michael Bendis and David Marquez. I think that is a very interesting lineup.
Let's see, 27 no's, 7 possibles, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 definitelys. I may have missed 1 or 2 as I was drooling in the mic at various times.
Well, and also when you look at the cover, there's also going to be more preview stuff. There's going to be more news releases. These aren't coming out till October.
Well, and sometimes, too, like if Comic or Newsarama or Comic Resources does an article like they did for Doctor Strange, it gets me so hyped up. I mean, A lot of times I'll miss something and then come back like, if only I'd have known about it, like Old Man Logan or Deadpool Secret Wars, I probably would have picked it up to begin with. But in all the static, it just kind of went over my head, and now I'm just either going to wait and read it on Marvel Unlimited, hope to find it at a comic shop or Comic-Con, or just wait for the inevitable trade paperback.
Yeah. I think when we get closer to them coming out, we ought to do an episode like we did for DC 52 of this is how many we would order.
Sure. Yeah, because that'll
But if I were a shop owner, I think this is a strong lineup.
When you know they're going to be
There
about
were
1,000
a few books, I
covers.
wonder why they're doing them. Like a Vision comic and a Scarlet Witch comic. And, did Angela really sell well enough to keep going? Illuminati villain books really don't sell well, but like Old Man Logan, I think, is a cool way to update Wolverine. The X-Men books look fairly strong. The Avengers line looks a little weird. The Spider-Man line looks to be continuing to kick ass because really since Amazing Spider-Man #1 a couple of years ago, the Spider-Man books have really been selling well. People are really into the Spider-Man stuff. And the fact that Dan Slott's staying on it is good news because he was hinting he may leave.
No, you're not leaving, Slott. We will hunt you down and tie you to a chair with one hand free so you can finish typing out scripts.
And if he tries to leave, we'll make him write Ren and Stimpy comics.
Or read Deathmate.
Oh, he's gonna puke! He's gonna puke!
I thought I could do it. When am I ever going to learn?
Never.
Ever.
Joe, we had mail.
We did?
Yeah, we got two emails.
Cool.
Neither one of them said it was okay to use their name, so I'm not using their name. If you send an email to Cory.Strode@gmail.com for the show, just say it's okay to use your name.
So the first one is from President Obama. He must have heard your plea from last week about not being on the show, and he felt so bad he sent you the following email.
Oh, really?
Well, if they're not going to give us, if they don't know any better, they're not going to give us names. Let's just make some shit up,
Oh, I'm breaking kayfabe, aren't I?
You are a breaker, I'm telling you.
So is this an email you got?
No, you got it. You got to read it. Don't make me turn on my video. I'm not wearing pants.
You turn on your video, I'm going to your house and taking all of your pie.
Well, if you do, would you just bring me some Chick-fil-A? I can't get that shit on Sunday.
I refuse to set foot in a Chick-fil-A.
Wait, go through the drive-thru.
I refuse to go through there. They don't have anything I can eat anyway.
It's for me. If you're going to take my pie, I got to have something to eat.
The first one says...
This is from Obama now.
Joe.
Oh, my God, he knows me.
You talked about retiring for a while. When you retire, would you open a small comic shop?
No.
And why not?
No money in it. There's not enough. I don't think I would have enough capital to actually run a comic store. I don't think with places like Discount Comic Book Service giving them away at 40%, it would be worth doing. It's possible to make money still doing comics. We've talked about it. There's a few places in town like Captain Jack's Comics does very well just selling just comics. But I don't think it's something that I would want to pursue. I would probably continue to do like eBay and stuff. Unless I got in all seriousness, unless I got a big windfall of cash coming, aka winning the lottery, I don't realistically seeing myself opening up another comic shop. Or my wife allowing me to.
I think that has a lot to do with it.
She may be in Italy, but she's probably listening.
The second thing he says is, I like it when Jin's on the show and she asked for people to tell her that.
It's not that she'll believe us.
No. The second letter.
And who's this from? Putin.
Wow, we got both sides.
Yeah.
Thank God it's not from Donald Trump.
Oh, the Trump dump.
He'd probably yell at us for ever reading a Mexican comic.
I actually have some of those, but never mind.
A question for the both of you.
Ooh.
What comic in the last 2 years do you wish you would have never read?
Interesting.
Yeah. You want my answer?
Yeah, because I'm not sure I have one. Go ahead.
I'm glad if I read even a bad comic, because first, the comic we like the least, we like better than the comic you like the most. But even a bad comic will have something in it that we can use on the show. Like I talked about those issues of Convergence, like the first issues where it's all exposition, it's all exposition, it's all exposition. I think that Action Comics annual I read that I gave up on after 24 pages of people standing around in space talking, one of the few comics I've never made it to the end to in my life. It's not that I wish I wouldn't have read it, but boy, it was bad. It let me know that the Superman stuff being published is not for me. Joe?
See, that the thing that's tough is that if the comics I buy, I genuinely read. You know, I mean, we go through all the previews and the stuff. So if I'm going to plunk my cash down, for the most part, I'll probably enjoy it. If I don't, it just kind of fades off, or I'll sell it on eBay. So I can't think of anything. I mean, I have to go all the way back to the comic that makes me retch. As far as a comic, I've never been able to sit down and read through. And there's 6 of those. That's a pretty good question. But like I said, for the most part, I can't think of a comic that I don't wish I had bought. There's some runs that I bought the run of Black Widow and eventually quit. And I'm kind of like, it wasn't as good as I thought it was. I didn't regret buying it, but because, I mean, I just turn around and sell it on eBay as soon as I can figure out where they all are. For the most part, yeah, I mean, just like DC, I pick up 2 books now, and one of them's a miniseries. And Marvel, too, I mean, for me, they're just living on their creators, because if their creative team doesn't interest me, like Iron Man's not a character I really care about, never have, but Brian Michael Bendis is writing it. That's got my interest. If I can think of anything in the future, I'll bring it up. But for the most part, I mean, you don't hear me talking about comics in my freaking section, because if I didn't like it, I probably wouldn't have bought it to begin with. And a lot of times that ends up where it's like, oh, I missed out on a comic because I wasn't willing to pre-order it or give it a try. But, you know, despite me ordering stuff at discount, I still stop at the source almost every week just to browse the shelves and try to check out some things I might have missed.
The second thing in this is, again, you see, here's the thing. When Jen orders people to do stuff, they tend to do it. I like Jen on the podcast, but I have a question. Joe, do you two get along? Is this just a bit? Or do you two argue all the time when you're around each other?
Well, we're not really around each other. The last time I actually physically saw her was at the Comic-Con, and previously I hadn't seen her since I owned Hot Comics St. Paul.
The year 2000.
Yeah.
In the year 2000.
Wow, that was surprisingly good.
Horrible.
So, no, I mean, I don't really see her. I mean, I see her on Facebook and previously on MySpace, which really dates me. But
not on Friendster.
Yeah, no, she's just, she's someone trying to butt in on the thing Cory and I got going here, and, she's, trying to take over, push me out. I see the handwriting on the wall. I may have just painted this room for Dana, but there is handwriting on the wall. I'm telling you.
Here's the weird thing. As I'm mixing the episode, I think, I really think these two are probably going to have me fired with episode 201.
Yeah, hey. Hang on a second. Oh, go on, I got to take something to Jen.
It's okay. It's all right. I'm fine.
Well, you've been liking doing solos anyways, so.
I know. I'll go on. I'm
trying not to break out in song, but
You know who else doesn't want to break out in song?
Who's that?
These guys, our sponsors. You may not be able to join the mighty Marvel Marching Society anymore, or even the Friends of Old Marvel, but you can visit our sponsors. Our oldest sponsor is DreamHost.com. DreamHost.com is the best, bar none, web host in the whole known universe. If you need a website, go to DreamHost.com. They will take care of you as they've been taking care of me for over 15 years. If you use the code CRAYZ, that's K-R-A-Y-Z, you get $20 off your first year of hosting. If you are listening to this podcast, you are very good looking. That's right. As a good looking person, you can't trust your skin to any old razor. That's why you need to shave with the amazing razors you can get delivered from the Dollar Shave Club. Every month they send a box with your shaving supplies. At the beginning of the week, or whenever you want, you pop in a fresh blade and get that fresh blade shave. It feels fantastic, and it's just one of the many, many ways that you can maintain the good looks that everyone has come to expect from you. And if you join us at the Dollar Shave Club, their plans start at just $3 a month. They have a money-back guarantee, and there is no excuse for you to ever use any other razor. So just go to dollarshaveclub.com/crazy, K-R-A-Y-Z, to get started. One of the things you need to do this year, you need to get healthy. We all need to be healthy so we can all hang out a lot longer. And one of the ways to get healthy is not to go down to the vending machine and buy those chips or those candy bars or any of the other vending machine snacks. You want healthy snacks picked out by actual chefs who know what they're doing, and you can do that at graze.com. And if you use the code Cory S3R5P, your first and fifth box are free, so you can try it out. See if that's the kind of stuff you like. That's Cory S3R5P. Our final sponsor is Worldwide News. Worldwide News is the story of the lowest rated cable news network and the people who work there. It is updated twice a week by writer Corey Strode, hey, that's me, and artist Dangerous Dan Moore. Worldwide News at worldwidenews.solitairerose.com, part of the Solitaire Rose family of websites. If you would like to contact us, there are a whole bunch of ways. You can email us at cory.strode@gmail.com. You can give us a call. We have a voice line that is open at all times at 952-856-0519, or you could go to Facebook and join the Crazy Comics and Stuff fan page. If you would like to advertise on Crazy Comics and Stories or on Solitaire Rose Radio, you can. Just send me an email at cory.strode@gmail.com, subject advertising. Thanks.
Hello, Universe. My name is Brian.
And I'm Emily.
I'm her dad.
And I'm his daughter.
I like to try strange new foods.
And I don't.
She loves to listen to Taylor Swift and dance.
And he doesn't.
But we both like
Video games.
comic books,
Wrestling.
superhero movies,
Fun facts.
but most of all, YouTube. So we put together a channel.
Where we could try new things and talk about fun ideas.
We called it Hey Poindexters.
And we put a new episode up every week.
So pay us a visit.
You never know what we're gonna do next.
Search for Hey Poindexters on YouTube or visit heypoindexters.com for more information.
And that's our old friend Brian Poindexter on the podcast there.
Oh, cool.
He's got himself a web show on the YouTubes. It's him and his daughter trying new things. They did an episode where they ate Spam for the first time. They did an episode where they you know the Harry Potter beans where some of them taste like horrible
Yeah.
things. So they played a game. I guess there's a game with it.
Oh, really?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Where you spin the thing and you have to grab that color bean. They did a episode where they ate sardines. Just some advice for people with sardines. I don't talk a whole lot about how I know so much about food because, you know, you can't be friends with someone who's a high-end chef and a fan of Alton Brown without learning about food. If you're going to buy sardines, buy bristlings because they actually taste good. All other sardines taste like...
And if you're going to buy blue cheese, buy Stilton, because rumor
Yes.
has it, if you take 20 grams before you go to bed, you're going to have some really messed up dreams.
And Stilton is one of England's favorite cheeses.
You know, it's things like that, what Brian's doing with his daughter, that makes me wish I'd have thought of something like that. Or even there's guys in the back, like one guy takes pictures with his baby doing like impossible things, and then he photoshops himself into it. Like picture the baby in the front seat over the wheel driving the car, and there's the dad in the back running after him like, no! I just wish I had the creative talents to do that. It's just funny.
And I like the fact that the people who are listening to the show are starting to get more creative, creating their own video. I'm gonna sound old here. Are they called vlogs for video blog? Are they vlogs? I think they're vlogs.
If that shows in Webster, I'm gonna come over to your house and eat all your pie.
You're not allowed in the house, Joe.
That's okay. I'll feed the cat some crickets. I'll feed the crickets some cat.
Hey!
No problem.
The crickets have been on the show as long as you have.
Not to mention, with four-wheel drive, I can come down the hill behind your home, be in your back room before you even know it.
Right through the wall.
No, I wouldn't be that crude. But I would lure you out with like a couple bottles of gin strategically placed down the street, and while you're out, I'd come in, grab the pie, and go. Dun, dun,
I don't
dun,
know. You'd have to.
Dun, 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 dun,
The way to get me out of the house would be to have Christina Hendricks or my latest crush, Kate McCucci, not just because her last name is McCucci. You'd have to have them knocking on the door wanting me to go with them to Baker Square to get pie.
That would be easy. All I'd have to do is make sure after you finish drinking the gin I left out, you'd be so drunk you'd even go out with a cardboard cutout.
Well, you'd have to have limes as well, because you can't drink gin by itself. It has to be a gimlet.
And I have to be careful, because we all know gin makes a man mean.
Oh, I miss milk and cheese so much. Anyway, we've got our own plugs. I would like to plug. I have plugs, Joe.
Well, if you
And
fooled
not
me,
just
I
because my hair
thought
is
your hair
getting
was natural. But go ahead.
We both go for the same
joke.
joke. It is the summer of podcasting. I am doing a solo podcast every week. That's right. You're getting two.
Count them, two. Use both hands.
1, 2. He just counted 2, Ref. 2 podcasts every week.
He's got them. No, he
One
didn't.
with Joe and a solo podcast. The one for 7-1, that was last Wednesday, is a solitaire roast history of spaghetti westerns. I talk about the history of spaghetti westerns, the ones that I enjoy, sort of some personal history around the genre. The one coming up this Wednesday, we continue the history of EC with Mad the Comic. We're going to do the first 5 issues with special guest and longtime pal Tommy Lang. Tommy is an artist who's worked all over the place, and we get into some of his past, but we talk about the first 5 issues of Mad the Comic. And then on 7/15, it's recorded, it's in the can. Jack Kirby, 1979 to 1987. The cutoff is when Marvel gave Kirby his art back after a prolonged struggle. So we got solo podcasts all summer long, from now till Labor Day. Label Day?
Label Day.
That's the day where you go and you label all the comics.
Or just put labels on everything. This is my glass. See this cup? It says urine cup. You were using to bake pancakes.
New solo podcast every week, all summer long. Joe, what are you plugging?
Well, I got 2 things to plug. First, just a few mere months away, the Midwest Comic Book Association will present Fall Comic Con.
Oh, they kept some of my name.
Yes. And, of course, it's a comic book party, the one-day wonder, 420 minutes of extreme comic book action. October 10th, 2015, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Minnesota State Fairground Education Buildings. I helped the boys out with their Facebook page, and I know there's a lot of people dumping questions on the Facebook page, but seriously, if you want to get your questions answered, send it to mcbaquestions@gmail.com, because I don't think anybody's updated the website, which is mcbacomiccons.com. So you want to check that out. I mentioned before, I got some news I'm excited about the eBay stuff. You know, I've been pumping out comics and selling on eBay, but I'm going to take the jump and I'm going to reopen my eBay store. I actually closed it years ago before I got on the road. I think even before we were podcasting. And one of the reasons I want to get it on is because I have a lot of items that, for lack of better, they're not hot, they're not sought after, but people will eventually buy them. But the problem with eBay is you got a 7-day window that your auctions can run. Or if you do a 30-day thing, you get charged the same whether it's an auction or not. So all these things that I've not sold are going to get put in the eBay store. For people who listen to this here podcast, if you do actually buy something, just send me a quick note, and you can always send me a note either via the eBay system or my personal email, crazycomics@gmail.com, and I'll either include something nice, I might give you free shipping. I got a lot of crap here, highly desirable collectibles. HDC. I have HDC, and I'm just figuring I'm going to put them on eBay. Some of the things I sold in the last week, I sold an Uncanny X-Men 304. That's the hologram one back when they were, one of the two-parters where I think it ended up with Magneto sucking the adamantium out of Wolverine, had the little hologram on the cover. This one was signed by John Romita Jr. and Brandon Peterson. An All-Star Batman and Robin retailer incentive variant. That's the one that Jim Lee and Frank Miller did. And, of course,
that's the goddamn Batman,
yep,
right?
You're damn right. Sorry, you're goddamn right. And, of course, the black and white variants were all the rage, going for multiple hundreds of dollars. This one sold for a mere $49.99.
$49.99.
A couple amazing Spider-Man retailer variants from the, number 639, 640. Those went to Canada. And Canada, yeah.
It's Canada.
Speaking of Amazing Spider-Man, I sold off a couple Discount Comic Book Service exclusive variant covers of Amazing Spider-Man 1, both the regular and their black and white one. The last thing I sold was a Ghostbusters Infestation retailer incentive cover it was a clear cover, but for a while, IDW would actually have the artist draw on these covers, and at whatever amount you bought the comics, you got this as an incentive book. And this one happened to have Egon drawn on it. So, and that's just the stuff I sold. There was a lot of stuff that didn't. Hey, mosquitoes are out. Anyways, the eBay shop will be up and running. You can find it probably just by linking through my name at the moment, Crazy, Krayz. But at the time this podcast hits, the store will be up. I hope to load it with all sorts of goodies. Heck, I'll even toss out to you guys, if you got something you want me to sell on consignment for you, give me a quick email and we'll figure something out. Well, that's all the pugs I've got.
All right, Joe, you know what it's time for?
What?
Freaking and geeking. Joe, what are you freaking on?
I do not like Image's new preview section. They don't list any descriptions except the new number ones and the trade paperbacks for the month. And I really find it disheartening. I mean, it's no different than just reading a line there's no creative team. It just says Spawn. Or it just says Savage Dragon. Okay, I know Spawn. I know Savage Dragon. But some of the books I don't even know about, and there's no reason for me to buy it. It's almost as if you're not buying the issue by issue number 1, they don't really care if you pick it up or not. They've kind of like thrown in the towel. If you're not buying Walking Dead, you're not going to just suddenly pick it up because of a description in the previews catalog. It's very confusing, it's very disorientated, and it's really got me cutting back on my Image. So basically, DC, Marvel, and Image, you're really screwing up because I am going to be buying a lot of crap from you. I thought I'd share a little bit about being alone. Now,
Joe, do I need the sad music?
No, not really, because this kind of reminds me. What I didn't realize is, my wife and my daughters are over in Italy, and I'm home for 2 weeks alone. And I didn't realize it, but I feel a lot like I'm on a deployment. One of the ones I did for TSA, it's like I go to work, I come home. I go to work, I come home. I make myself a bowl of cereal at night. In the morning, have a donut, and I bring some snacks to eat. I'm not eating a real meal. because my wife will make meals mostly for her and Holly, and then when I come home, I'll have leftovers. I don't have a lot of laundry to do, with the 2 girls and soon to be 3. I mean, there's like every day is a load of laundry. But for me, I just did laundry today because all I wear is my uniform shirt. And, well, like now I'm not wearing pants, so I don't have to worry about washing them. The other thing that was weird about being alone on deployments is when you leave work, you're like, where am I going to go? Do I want to go stop at Walmart and just kind of wander through the aisles and buy things I don't normally need? Do I just want to go home, watch a little TV, read something, go to bed? It just struck me. I wasn't ready for that feeling that I would, because when I was deployed, you were like counting the days for it to get over with. And now I'm just like counting the days until the girls are home. And the other thing that was weird is just the house isn't really messy, but I'm a clutter guy. Cory can attest to that. I mean, if there was a flat surface at my old comic shops, I put stuff on it. And I'm going to do a cleaning of the place, clean the floor, clean the rabbit cage, do some vacuuming. But as I went through, I just realized, if I pick up things here, like I just dropped my sandals in the floor, nobody cares. I'm alone. It would drive Chris up the wall, but I'm alone for a moment. Well, if I pick them up, put them where they normally go, clean off the dining room table of all my mess from my box day, the house cleans up real easily. So, just kind of do a little here, a little there, then I don't have to bust my ass next week. Because, next week's will be, holy shit, I just spent all day cleaning the house. How can one guy mess a place so badly? And the other thing that I'm kind of freaking out, I was a little disappointed last night. We had severe weather, and it totally missed our house. I'm weird. I'm like one of the something about Minnesotans and severe weather. Severe tornado coming. Run for shelter. We walk outside and go, where is it? Oh, there it is. So I'm at home. I actually was sick yesterday, so I left work sick. And I came home, and the hailstorm that hit, I think I went home about 3, and I think about 4 o'clock, hailstorm rumbled through the western parts of the suburbs, even over Chaska. Did you get any hail damage, Cory?
No damage. We had hail.
Okay. Up north, it was like snow on the ground. It went through wind chills. It went through plants. I mean, people had golf ball to softball size hail. So I saw this coming, and I was like, oh, crap, what am I going to do? My brand new truck, 1 payment down, is sitting wide open. And I don't want to pull Chris's car out of the garage. So I went outside, looked around. Most I did is I took her potted plants and I put it under our table, which is like, I don't know what you call it, gridwork metal. So if the hail came down, I mean, pea-sized hail would get through, but the rest would bounce through. The damn storm got here, broke in half. Some went east, some went west, and then it reformed as a severe storm over Minneapolis again. I didn't get nothing. 4 bolts of lightning and rain. On the plus side, I didn't have to water my wife's plants anymore. Very disappointed. I had my phone, I had my camera ready. The cell phone was charged up. I was going to get me some good severe weather photographs. Got nothing. Yep, not a lot to freak about this week. Cory, what are you freaking out? What's got you sadder than discovering you ate the last piece of pie and never replaced it?
Well, I'm not sad, but I had to work a lot at the group home over the weekend.
I read some of your Facebook things. I'm amazed. One of 2 things. First of all, that you do it, and I've kudoed you in the past for that because I think you're very unique, special.
Stupid?
No, I think you're a unique and special person for doing what you do. But I'm also amazed, and I wonder, like, first of all, do the supervisors even know that, hey, Cory's here, everybody else bailed on you?
I haven't seen my supervisor since last October.
Ugh. And the other thing is that I suppose Miss Manners wouldn't approve, but I don't know why you just don't lay the smack down on some of these putzes who just, hey, Cory's here, let's disappear.
Well, I did get some time to sit and watch TV with some of the clients. Have you seen the new Cottonelle ad, Joe?
No.
There's a new Cottonelle ad, and what it is, the ad says, so good you can go commando. And what it is, they have a toilet set up with a curtain around it and everything, and they ask people, hey, here, try our toilet paper. And then when they come out, they go, would you be willing to go commando after using that toilet paper, Joe? The people who need better toilet paper before they go commando, I don't want to be anywhere near them, because the fact that the toilet paper, the quality of the toilet paper is how they choose to wear underwear or not, has disturbing and frightening implications to their personal hygiene.
You know, that's one of the reasons I went homesick.
Skid marks?
No. Diaper gravy. I mean, I would, and it was like, the only
now,
reason...
did it have anything to do with the type of toilet paper you use? Because if, this toilet paper's not that good. Good thing I got underwear to keep my pants from getting gross.
Well, let's just say I'm glad I was able to get to the lone restroom, the one-seater, and nobody was in it. However, I still had to use a bit of toilet paper so I didn't have to feel wet spots all the way home. I did something in my pants I haven't done since I was 12.
Or since that time at the Mexican restaurant you found out was condemned the next day. But really, other than the fact that I had a really, really long weekend at the group home that I do not want to get into, I only have that one.
Come on, hanging at the home.
Nah, not for this
Just
one.
Hanging and bitching at the home. Yeah, we don't want to be. After all, it's freaking let's bring everybody down.
Geeking! Joe, what are you geeking on? What are you loving? Box Day came.
Well, I'll talk about that in a sec, but I am happy. One of my favorite shows.
You're happy?
I am.
Well, how did that happen?
Well, one of my favorite shows is Big Bang Theory. And again, being alone, especially when I was up in Alaska, I discovered that TBS would run Big Bang marathons. And so I would just sit and watch Big Bang Theory, because what else was I going to be doing? You know, I mean, you get your food, you do your laundry, you clean. Everybody else is at work, so I'm kind of like the only one off. So I got Big Bang Theory is like, it's a comfortable show. I enjoy it. It's like watching old friends, kind of like MASH. You know, my wife and I finished MASH before they took off to Italy. It starts at 9 p.m. on the local affiliate here, and I get off at 8:30, and I had to bust my buns to get home to do it. And a lot of times I just gave up because it was just like reruns. To tell you how comfortable I get doing this, I mean, I have all the DVDs. I would rather just watch it on TV than put the frickin' DVD in. I don't know what that is. I think it's just kind of an unwinding thing. It's what I do off work. Anyways, they moved Big Bang Theory to 10 p.m., so I'm not going to have to bust my ass to get home to watch my friends again. Talked about going to a con. I got together with my old buddy Pat, the guy I had to shop with, and Pat's been basically working and getting rid of his stuff, and he's got his collection down to a manageable level, things he just wants to read over and over. He's purged himself of duplicates, like, do I need the Omnibus X-Men, the original comic book Uncanny X-Men, including Giant Size, and the other various trades? No, I'll keep the Omnibus. You know, so he sold everything. I thought it was odd why he wanted to go. There was a comic show from it's comics, cards, and collectibles from the comiccard.net. I haven't met the guys who put this on, but it's the last time I went, it was a fun show. This time around, it wasn't as heavily attended. Partially, it was hotter than living hell outside. It was a beautiful summer day. It's the weekend, so just not a lot of people were going to the con. Pat went because he wanted to meet comic artist Paul Pelletier, who is a comic artist and penciler on Guardians of the Galaxy, Aquaman, the new 52 Aquaman, Flash, and a lot more. And initially, I was going to go out early because the show starts at 10, and I thought, well, I'll get there between 10 and 11 because I'm not. They might have had grab bags, and I know the MCBA advertises there, and we advertise these guys con. But I was like, I'm just going to get there. I'm going to look through comics and just pick out some stuff. And then Pat called me out of the blue about this con because he normally doesn't do comic cons, and he said he wanted to go, and if I were to go, would I ask Paul if he was going to stay the whole show because Pat wanted to come out and look at some original art. He was really keen on a couple Aquaman covers and hoped that Paul had them. He was spending the first half of his day with his girlfriend, and then he figured about 2 o'clock he'd be free. He'd be home by 3. I'd pick him up at 3. We'd head over, get there about 4, and then he'd have a half hour to talk to Paul. And I was like, well, okay, I'll go in the morning and then go back. He called me later and said, him and his girlfriend she had to go to work early, so she gave him money, which is amazing because she, like my wife, doesn't really appreciate what Pat does, although Pat was able to pay for the Hawaii vacation, which is a different subject. So we went out and we got together and got there about 2 o'clock. Paul was still there, and Pat went right to Paul and started talking to him. And unfortunately, the Aquaman covers he wanted were missing, but he sat and talked. And I actually thought briefly about asking Paul if he would do an original sketch because, I like the original Supergirl from the 70s. But I didn't think we were going to be there that long because, it's 2 o'clock, show's over at 4:30. I was wrong. We actually went through, and I picked up quite a bit of stuff, and most of it is just kind of cheap, fun stuff. The one book I spent a little money on, I picked up a copy of Del the Big Valley, which has a gorgeous cover. Not only is this a beautiful book, but it has kind of an orangish color, which kind of attracted my attention. And, of course, a very young Lee Majors and a very hot Linda Evans. Oh, she was smoking in the 80s, man. Back then, she was just drop dead. And I got a decent deal on the comic. It was in probably fine shape, maybe very fine. Tried to read it. Oh, sweet bejesus. The people who drew or read this thing, man, Del just crapped this stuff out the way Death Made comic came out. It was terrible. Okay, there's your comic for the question earlier. What comic did I regret trying to read? I don't regret buying it because I love photo covers. That was probably the biggest thing that I bought. Other weird things, I picked up a trade paperback of Danger Girl because I don't ever recall reading Danger Girl. I've sold tons of Danger Girls. I've never read it. So for $5, you get the trade paperback, originally retailed at $20. That's a pretty shot. A couple weird X-Men. I picked up an X-Men 300, an Uncanny X-Men, Legion Quest #1, the Wizard World giveaway cover. You can tell the difference because it has no number on it, well, way up in the corner, number 320. But it's in gold, and it says Wizard in the UPC code. And for a while, this was going like hot. And these guys, they just had them for $1 a piece. I picked them up. Picked up another odd one I'd never seen before. Supernatural Thrillers #4 from Marvel, featuring Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. An adaptation, of course, from The Chiller by some Robert Louis Stevenson, some hack. But the cover, again,
Some loser.
The cover is just gorgeous. It's not a mint-shaped book, but the main part of the cover and the colors are just amazing. At last the serum is ready. Now I must look. Now there is no more Henry Jekyll. There is only Mr. Hyde. I love comics like that, just the goofy covers. And speaking of goofy, I picked up another promo one from the United States Steel Corporation of 71 Broadway, New York, 6, New York, no zip code to give you an idea what it is. Joe, the Genie of Steel. After that, I just one of the dealers, Hammer, I just went through all these books. He had a ton of books for $2 a piece. Picked up some Goodell's, like a couple movie ones. 55 Days at Peking, which I've never, ever heard of, but it looks like it's got David Niven in it. One who I couldn't get the song out of my head after I saw the title of the comic. Those magnificent men in their flying machines, they go uppity up, up. It's a 1965 20th Century Fox film. with both these had the gold key logo at the time. And I picked up a Christmas comic, Walt Disney Christmas Parade. And I'm not sure what year it's from, but he was selling it because this particular one was supposed to come with a poster. It didn't have a poster with it. Picked up one from Burley Man Entertainment called The Shalom Cowboy. I don't ever recall reading this, but he had 4 issues, so I picked up all 4. Another old 70s Marvel, War is Hell, #1, Decision at Dawn.
So that's when it was a reprint book.
Yeah.
The cool thing about War is Hell, somewhere around issue between 5 and 8, I don't remember when, it turned into a horror war series about a man who was not allowed to die. Basically, he would die and come back during World War II. And it was by Chris Claremont and Herb Trimpe. And it's one of the weirdest comics of the 70s, which is saying a lot. And there's really no way to describe. It's a mix of supernatural horror and war at Marvel, because DC did a lot of Creature Commandos and weird war tales and stuff. But it's the one book Marvel did during the horror boom where it's like, oh, we're going to try this. And I'm not going to say it's good, but I will say it's interesting to read.
Well, that's, for $2, I picked this up just because the cover is so cool. And this was back during the time you were talking that Marvel was just trying to oversaturate the market by reprinting tons of crap. Now, here's a couple ones. Let's see. This almost falls upon the, what did we used to call it? Obscure comic book titles?
Yes.
Cory, have you ever heard of Trigger Twins?
Yes. It's a DC book.
Yep.
Basically, it was a Western.
Yep, double-barreled action from...
Yep, and their gimmick was that they never miss what they shot at, which is, I'm sorry, every Western hero in comics always hit everything they shot at.
Well, then you probably read this one, The Stalker.
No,
Actually,
I haven't read a lot of individual issues.
Actually, I think it's just Stalker. Beware the man with the soul and soul. Stalker, a DC comic, #1, the 25-cent cover.
That's a Wally Wood book.
Ooh, cool. I just picked it up because it's #1. It was $2. I thought I'd give it a try.
That was back when DC was like, shit, nothing's selling, so whatever.
Throw it out. I had to limit myself because Hammer was selling some pretty good stuff at $2 a piece, and I didn't want to blow all my money. I did pick up an Action Comics #443, one of the 100-pagers. He had tons of stuff like that, just good.
Oh, I love those.
Good reading. I remember picking them up before they all went up in price. Another couple ones, some newer stuff. I picked up Alan Moore's Magic Words from Avatar, Volume 1. Warren Ellis, Bad Signal, Volume 1, again from Avatar. Again, I don't know if those guys did anything in the books or if it was just they put their names on it. Just to round out the $2 books, I picked up a really funky comic cover, The Witching Hour, #13, that has a guy screaming in abstract terror because in front of him's a little tiny spider hanging in front of him that has a human skull on it. Super DC Giant S24 Supergirl. Don't know if I have it, but for $2, why not? Big Bad Blood of Dracula, #1. Again, a comic. I mean, this has a Bernie Wrightson story in it, but the cover. Hitler has been cloned. He's alive today and looks like a giant blood-sucking tick, says experts. Shocking new proof. Elvis is not in this comic book. No one has seen the king. We're still looking. She's hot. She's sexy. She's the next big thing. And she's dead. And a 300-something, was Dracula ever a yuppie? The horrifying truth revealed. I mean, it's from Apple Comics. The cover got me. And I picked up another giveaway, little sad title, The Little Tree That Wasn't Wanted, from the W.T. Grand Company. With that, it had over 800 stores coast to coast at the time. And the last one I picked up, this one comes from the pile of, I read this as a kid and I remember it vividly. It's a Spire Christian comic.
I remember those.
In the Presence of Mine Enemies, which dealt with a guy's recollection of being a 7 years POW in Hanoi. talking a lot about the torture and the things. Now, reading this as a kid, okay, first of all, no schools ever taught Vietnam in the 70s. Basically, World War II ended, and it was like, hey, before summer vacation, we won, yay! Skipped over Korea.
What happened after that?
Nothing. So I was aware of Vietnam because my mom told me about her brother had been there. So this was like one of the few things I read about Vietnam and about torture. It's probably one of the only Spire Christian comics that I recall reading that stuck with me. Everything else was pretty vapid. So for $2, I picked up a copy.
I remember the Archie ones.
Oh, the kids are up to something.
I would be given the Archie ones a lot. But the one I remember the most, I was probably given this comic at least 10 times.
Really?
Because once the church people found out I liked comics, you'd get the Archie ones, like Archie's Sunshine and all that. I got the Cross and the Switchblade,
I remember
based on the movie starring Pat Boone.
Oh, he was a heavy metal guy, wasn't he?
I got that one at least 10 times because my grandmother's friends would go, oh, I bought you a comic, and I would be nice, but inside I'm rolling my eyes and going, another one of these, and the story is so stupid.
I know I've had that one. I know I had the Archie ones, and they just don't stick with me. This one did for some reason.
I remember the Archie ones, it'd be a normal Archie story, and then the last page would be, and it's because I love Jesus. And wait a minute, you were doing the normal stuff where, you're wanting to go on a date with Veronica, but you have a date with Betty, and Reggie's being a dick, and Jughead's eating everything, and then why is Jesus talked about on the last page? And there's a part of me that wonders that they just took regular Archie stories and redrew the last page.
I remember there was a store, and it's no longer there, but it was just like a bookstore or something. And I don't know why we were in it, probably because I was with my aunt or my mom or whatever, and they were doing something. And they had a rack of comic books, and I was drawn to it. Every single one was a Spire comic. That's the first experience I had with them. And it probably won't be the last.
Well, probably.
I separate this out from my eBay plug because it's what I bought on eBay. And Paul Cooperberg is selling a book he wrote called The Unpublished Book Scripts of His when he was writing Superman, Checkmate, Doom Patrol, Death of Archie. And this is basically stories, mostly the adventures of Superboy 55 and DC Double Comics number 1 and 2. These are comics that never existed because when they relaunched the DC Universe after Crisis, both these characters were written out of continuity, and so Paul's scripts for DC Double Comics, which were going to feature Superboy and Supergirl, were basically just kind of given up. It also includes essays by comic book historian John Wells. Paul's selling this book himself. He autographed one to me, and then he also includes your choice of comics from either Supergirl or Superboy that he wrote, and he sent me a copy of Supergirl number 20, which has the New Teen Titans and the Justice League of America. And I believe it's one of the first times we see Supergirl with that goofy headband costume she eventually died with and came back with after Convergence. So if you're interested, go check it out. And I'll be reading it over the next couple months. As well as I got a copy of the new Teen Titans. Now we're into my box day stuff. And as usual with box day, I didn't really read a lot. The Teen Titans is one of them. I got volume 1. Oddly enough, volume 2 is out of print because I can only get volume 3 through Discount Comic Book Service. So I guess when I go to the source tomorrow, I got something to look forward to. Things I've read out of my pile. I read Knights of the Dinner Table, like 221. Again, they're doing the wrap-up of the big storyline, and it's not quite over yet. It's just a lot of fun. Mark Waid's Empire Uprising, returning to that universe where, hey, the bad guys won. Now we got to deal with it. I picked up a couple, the Star Wars one, Star Wars number 6, Darth Vader number 6, and read through those. Star Wars is one I'm torn between continuing reading or maybe switching to the trades or doing the Marvel Unlimited. But damn it, I'm liking these, so I will probably keep picking them up. And the other one I picked out of the bin was House of Hem #1. Basically, Marvel's reprinting in kind of a, not quite a comic, not quite a trade, but it's some of Fred Hembeck's fun that he did for Marvel Comics. And it has the Fantastic Four roast, Fred Hembeck destroys the Marvel Universe, and Amazing Spider-Man digital comic #6, which as far as I know has never been printed. And then, of course, he did a ton of strips for Marvel Age, and they print a smattering of them here. So for me, this one was actually a lot of fun. As far as
the fact that we don't have a Fred Hembeck Brother Voodoo series breaks my heart.
Well, part of it's his own fault, because I mean, when he did talk about that at the end of Destroy the Universe, because he wanted to do a graphic novel featuring the Voodoo family. You know, Brother Voodoo, Sister Voodoo, and Voodoo Chili, and it's titled "Stop in the Name of the Loa."
Oh,
that's a character piece.
Oh no!
See why I love Hembeck so much? I finished reading book 2 of my run through The Preacher. I haven't unwrapped 3, but I'm telling you, I don't remember none of this. It's just fun rereading this stuff. I did pick up one book that I started to read, but I stopped. Oh, Tom Saylor, he did Love and Capes, which I've raved about. He's doing a book called Long Distance, which is essentially about a long-distance relationship. This is for $4.99, this is a pretty decent comic. I mean, there's a lot of reading. You're not going to just fly through it. It's, I believe, 6 issues, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to put it aside till I get all 6 issues and barrel through it. But it's a slice of life comic. It's nothing to do with superheroes. It's just 2 people met in an airport, and they decided they're going to keep a long-distance relationship going. So if you're love-torn, probably don't want to pick it up. But if you like that type of story, it'd be interesting to see how the sales go, because this is about the closest thing we've had to a real romance comic in ages. Corey, what are you geeking on? What's got you happier than, who's that chick you said? Kaylee McCucci and Kate McCucci, our good old big busted redhead, and knocking on the door and offering to take you out for pie so I can sneak in and steal your pie.
First off, I had box day today too, and there's a new Creepy and Eerie hardcovers. Now, Creepy and Eerie, the reprints Dark Horse is doing, they're getting near the end of the run of Creepy and Eerie, and it's when some of the people who'd been at Marvel and DC and were out of favor at the time came back over and did stuff with a lot of Italian artists and a lot of European artists who worked in the European version of heavy metal, Metal Hurlant, and they all have painted covers by Richard Corbin, which is where Richard Corbin kind of made his name.
Is it good stuff, or can you tell this is his beginning stuff?
Oh no, it's really good stuff. And Jose Villaruba has gone back and recolored them using modern color techniques without it overpowering. So he really went in and kind of did some reseparation so that the colors look really, really vivid and a lot more like the actual painting rather than the limited version that were originally printed. And while not every story is great, they're all interesting. The art styles are very unique. It's art styles you didn't see in other places. I've really loved the Dark Horse Creepy and Eerie reprints. One of the bad things about the fact that I left the job from hell, which paid a lot and didn't have as much money, is now I've got a whole bunch of the ones to buy. The good thing is there are all these ones I haven't read yet, so that when I do get a job that pays much better, it's like, oh, I can order another one. Ooh, I can order another one. Ooh. I am excited about Marvel's new #1 Sked, their lineup. I think they've got some good creative teams. There are some people leaving who it's kind of like Rick Remender's not going to be doing anything. Mark Waid's only doing one book and he's leaving Daredevil. There are some writers who I don't know. I don't know a lot of the artists. but I'm kind of excited to see how they're going to reshuffle the deck. And the other thing about it, and maybe this shows my Marvel bias, I think they've learned from DC's mistakes with the DC New 52, where on a lot of the books, they didn't decide who the creative team was till the very last minute. These look like they've been in the works for a while. And the other thing is, everybody said, oh, they're going to hit the reset button, Thor will be back, Captain America will be back, blah, blah, blah. Nope. They're continuing the female Thor. They're continuing Sam Wilson as Captain America. They're not throwing away any of the big changes they did. And the other thing is, since creators knew so long ago that Secret Wars was coming, it's all been very planned out as to this is a new number one to start with. And if I were a shop owner, I'd be very, very happy, because I remember they were very, very happy with the amount of dollars that rolled in with the New 52 first issues. Marvel doing all first issues.
And probably 5,000 variants.
Yeah. Joe, have you read the All-Star Section 8?
No, it's in my to-be-read pile.
Read it. Not only do we get the return of Baitor, but Dog Welder is back. Yes, Dog Welder has returned to life. Dog Welder, one of my favorite comic book characters ever. Joe, what is Dog Welder's power?
I don't remember.
He welds dogs to things.
Oh, I gotta get my hit. As soon as I'm done with Preacher, I'm digging my Hitman comics out.
Bueno Excelente is back.
Why wouldn't I think that? What's his dog? His name's Dog Welder. What do you think he does?
What's his power? He welds dogs to things.
I was going to say dogs to each other, but they do that naturally.
Yeah. Well, he does that, but he can also weld dogs to people.
My God, that would be a most useful power, wouldn't it?
Bueno Excelente, whose power is the power of perversion. I love these characters. One of the things I'm really happy with, I've gotten a few emails from listeners saying, hey, can you recommend some comics for someone who hasn't read comics? Can you recommend comics for someone who's just read Marvel or just read DC or hasn't tried any indie books? I'm going to do more of it on the show. I haven't had time to read, but I do want to get back to having a big list of the number ones that have come out and doing reviews. We are getting more and more previews of stuff being sent to us to review. And one of the ways that you, the listener, can help raise our profile. Mm-hmm. Go to iTunes and write some reviews. When you're on the Facebooks, I know that there's over 150 people who liked us. You know what? Click on that like button for a new episode. Click on that like button when we're talking.
And that's important, because the problem with Facebook, why we don't bump a lot of stuff on it, is that every time we post something on Facebook, only 10% of you will see it. And the more people like it, the more people see it. Why? Well, because Facebook wants us to cough up a little money and promote it. Whereas Cory and I look at it like, well, he's not getting rich doing this. And, we
turned a profit this year and we were able to buy fast food from our profits.
We were, yeah. And this magnificent feast we're sharing between us is the last of the petty cash, by the way. But we, like it, put it on your Facebook. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll say, if I'm browsing through Facebook and I happen to see you liking something, like, to give you an example, the Hey Poindexters, Cory posted the link on our official Crazy Comics and Stuff podcast page. So I liked it, because that raises the profile. And that's the way Facebook has chosen to do their social media. Every time you like something, whether it's us or somebody else's page or your friend's page, they're going to show up in your news feed. If you don't like something, it's going to disappear. There's times I wonder, how come I haven't seen my ex-girlfriend's posts that I've been stalking? Well, that's because I don't like anything she posts.
I don't like anything about her.
I didn't say I didn't like it. I just said I don't want her knowing I'm stalking her. So I don't like anything. So I got to go out of my way to do it. But that's just Facebook. iTunes, Cory's got us on our website. I'm sure there's 1,001 things you can do. Word of mouth is very powerful, especially in the podcast community.
And please, 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 reviews on iTunes will raise our profile on iTunes. And iTunes is where we get the most subscribers. So, yeah. Is that a strong enough plug?
I think so. Hey, what do you mean I don't like Jen? There's a picture on the official Crazy Comics and Stuff podcast page. I'm giving her a rather arduous embrace.
Why, yes, you are.
More than you're giving Dan. I mean, Dan looks like you're a boger or something.
Well, that's because I'm giving the NWO salute to you guys. Speaking of the NWO has actually purchased some time on this here podcast right here.
Well, thank you.
The following is a paid announcement from the New World Order. My name is Cory Stroke, and there's someone out there who thinks that they can challenge me at Fall Comic Con. They think they have what it takes to be the best dressed man in comics. And I have one thing to say to this person. One thing. Do you know who I am? I am the reigning best dressed man in comics. I have defended this title at every Fall Con, Spring Con, Minneapolis Comic Con. I defended the title at the 2001 San Diego Comic Con, which had 150,000 people. There were people I had not even met who came up, shook my hand, were happy that they met the best dressed man in comics. It's not just a title, it's who I am. And you think you can challenge me? You think you can take my title? First off, it's not even a challenge. You don't even belong in the same league as me. You don't even belong thinking you're the best dressed anything, anywhere. So you can put on your little purple tie. You can copy my vest. You can wear all black. But it doesn't matter because it's more than the color. It's more than just the vest. It's the attitude and it's where you get it. I am a dedicated follower of fashion. I am a fashion icon in the world of comics. You? Let me just say something right here. The great Ric Flair said it, in order to be the man, you have to beat the man. And you cannot beat the man. This isn't even a contest. I suggest that you disabuse yourself of this notion. I suggest that you just send me an email saying, I'm sorry I even thought to challenge you. You should regret that you even thought of it. Because it's not going to be a contest. It's not, you don't even deserve to wear the Doc Martin shoes that I wear. You don't even know what the J. Peterman catalog is. So if you come for my title, you had best pack a lunch because you will need all the strength you have for the intense disappointment and the embarrassment that you're going to feel. This isn't going to be a contest. This isn't even going to be a mugging. This is going to be shameful. The beating that I will put on you will be shameful. People will turn their heads in embarrassment for you. So I'm just letting you know, here and now, that I will be there. And if you think you can even come close to my title, just bring it. The preceding was a paid announcement from the New World Order. Well, that kind of sounds serious,
It
Joe.
does.
I think that the Fall Comic Con, we might be looking at a rumble. And for all we know, with all the Mad Max stuff going on, we might get some ripoffs of Mad Max in wrestling, kind of like they did in the 80s and 90s when WCW pretty much based half the stuff they did on on, Mad Max.
Well, I can tell you, we don't have to worry so much about a rumble because the state fair does not allow rumbling on the fairgrounds. You don't want to cross the state fair. The mafia crossed the state fair once.
That's why there's no mafia anymore.
Not in the state fair.
Now, Joe, do you think we'll eventually get to what was the WCW knockoff of Thunderdome, where it was spin the wheel, make the deal, spin the wheel, make the deal, spin the wheel, make the deal?
Oh, sorry, I'm not making the proper synopsis connection for that, but I remember.
Well, the last thing I
Halloween Havoc?
Yeah, but I forget what the cage was called. They had a cage.
The 3-story monstrosity doom, or was that before?
Something like that, where the way the match ended was Mick Foley threw Abdullah the Butcher in a fake electric chair, and the electric chair didn't work quite right, but Abdullah was twitching like he was being electrocuted anyway.
Probably sat on his fork.
Last thing in my geeking, Joe, have you heard about? It's been all over the blogs. Steve Ditko responded to an 8-year-old fan's letter.
Yes, I saw that.
There's an 8-year-old who wrote a letter to Steve Ditko, and it's very hard to read, and no matter what I go to, I really can't get it to expand too much.
I saw a good copy of it. Let me see if I can find it.
I'll just read it here.
Okay.
Dear Mr. Ditko, my name is Carl, and I am 8 years old. I was wondering, was there a teacher who made you think about drawing comics? What did you have the most fun drawing? Thank you for inventing Spider-Man. And Steve Ditko replied, and this is one of the things about Ditko, there was that documentary, Hunting for Steve Ditko. Steve Ditko's not in hiding. He just doesn't want to do interviews or talk to the fan press. He just wants to do his job. And he has replied to people. He sends handwritten letters. This does not mean you should send him your Spider-Mans for an autograph because he won't do it. But he wrote back, Dear Carl, no teacher made me think about drawing comics. A teacher comes after one thinks or would like to draw comic book stories. It's not the teacher inspired him, it's once he decided, a teacher appeared. Very zen. The most fun in drawing comics is the figures in action. One of the hardest things to learn to do well are the mechanical things like cars, buildings, etc., and animals, horses, etc. But they can be fun, like with Gorgo and Conga. Regards, Steve Ditko. Remember how I talked about the big books of Conga and Gorgo, which were kind of knockoffs of King Kong and Godzilla? I know this 8-year-old does not know who Conga or Gorgo are, but the fact that Steve Ditko remembers those books as being ones he really enjoyed drawing, I find fascinating. And the fact that he wrote back to an 8-year-old saying, here's what I like doing, here's what I didn't. Steve Ditko's a good egg.
There's a couple of things I want to cover before we move on.
You mean we have to keep... Joe, we've been going almost 2 hours.
But these are relevant. Somebody talked earlier about, recommending comics to read. And I was going to mention this, but then you went off on a tangent for a change.
What?
Marvel, Dark Horse, Image, DC, IDW, they all have these dollar comic samplers. Most comic shops have them. When I was traveling, I used to see them. There'd be like an entire shelf of just all these comics for $1. Check out to see if your local comic shop has that. It'll give you a chance to try some comics. Sometimes, like in the case of Marvel, they're going back like to in the original Infinity Gauntlet or to Jim Lee's X-Men 1. IDW's gone back to Transformers. DC's done it with like all their different lines. So if you can find them, there's a chance to try something really cheap without a lot of money. Or email me and I'll send you one of mine.
There you go.
The other thing I want to cover, if I'm trying so damn hard to get rid of my comics, why the hell do I keep buying so many?
That I don't know.
Listen how enthusiastic I am when I talk about them. Yeah.
Well, kids.
And the few adults listening.
You've listened to us blather on about comic books for almost 2 whole hours.
Ooh, a mega stop.
Yep. We're doing supersize episodes. It's like the 90s, and we're an episode of Friends. I've even been drinking tea because I'm not a fan of coffee.
I was doing water just because last time I did cranberry juice, I burped it up.
So, as we say every week, kids, the comic we like the least, we still like better than the comic that you like the most. Joe?
She was only a whiskey maker, but I love her still. Somebody hit my music. Call my mama. I feel like dancing.